So for this unit, we're first going to talk about different kinds of angle pairs. So angle pairs are just the names we give of different pairs of angles, I suppose. That's the best way to put it. So there's a couple of different ones. First up, we have something called vertical angles. So vertical angles are when you have two lines crossing each other, and then the ones opposite each other are called vertical angles. The cool thing about vertical angles is that if the lines are straight, like angle 1 here and angle 2 are congruent. So this is a handy thing to use in the future. If you see two angles that cross like this, you can know that both sides are congruent. Or alternatively, angles 3 and 4 are then congruent. Another kind of angle pair that we're going to use a lot is a linear pair. So that's when you have a straight line and then an angle going off of it. So this is angle 1 and 2. This is called a linear. These are called linear pairs. And angle 1 plus angle 2, actually I'm going to write little measure things here. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. So this is just another name for, it's basically two angles on the same line, and we know that they will add up to 180. This is different than something called supplementary angles. So if I have like this is a terrible line, but these are supplementary. If angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. So these are different from linear pairs because linear pairs are joined on the same line. Supplementary angles are not necessarily. They can be, but they could also be separated like we have here. It just means that this angle plus this angle over here is equal to 180. We also have things like complementary angles, but these are the main three that we're going to be using for this unit. So go ahead and make sure you write all those down. We're also going to be using these things called within two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So we have parallel lines cut by a transversal. So here we've got angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these, they might get confusing, but if you think about like what the words alternate and same side and corresponding mean, it makes it a lot easier. So first up, we've got something called corresponding angles. Why is this not writing? Corresponding. So these would be like, for example, angle 1 and angle 5 because they're in the same relative place. So see how this one's like here, this one's here. So angle 1 and angle 5 are what we would consider to be corresponding angles. Next up, we've got alternate interior. And this means within, so inside these two things here. So that one and this one. And then it's on alternate sides. So it would be like angle 3 and angle 6. So angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles, or angle 4 and angle 5. Notice that these are all congruent. So these are, actually I'll write it in the middle. So angle 3 is congruent to angle 6. Angle 4 is congruent to angle 5. Because they're alternate interior angles. And same thing with corresponding angles, they're also congruent. We also have alternate exterior angles, which, surprise, surprise, means on the outside. So it would be like 1 is on that side and 8 is on the outside on the other side. They are also congruent. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 8. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 7. And I'm just gonna erase this part here so I can keep going. Wrong assignment. Okay. You would also have something called same side interior and same side exterior. So that would be like 3 and 5 are on the same side. And 4 and 6 are on the same side. These are not congruent to each other. They are supplementary to each other. Yeah, they're supplementary. So when we add them together, if you can kind of imagine rotating it around, the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180. So, and they're not a linear pair because they are not on the same line. So it's same thing here, measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 6 is also going to equal to 180. So, and then you would do the same thing for same side exterior. Which would also just get you to measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 7 is equal to 180. So these are cool because you can actually think about this in terms of vertical angles and linear pairs and supplementary. Let me add another page here. So for example, if I have my two lines cut by two parallel lines, it's very important that they're parallel, cut by a transversal. Notice that angle 1 is vertical angles with angle 4. But knowing that corresponding angles are the same because we're just translating up and down, we know that angle 4 is the same as angle 8 is congruent because we're just transferring it downwards. And I also know, I can also find out that, so I know angle 1 is congruent to angle 8, so that's alternate exterior angles. I can do the same for the interior. I know that 2 and 3 are congruent, for example. And if I transfer it down, I know that 7 is congruent to 3. But because of vertical angles, 6 is congruent to 7. So angle 3 is congruent to 7. So really, it's all just a mix of vertical angles and translations and whatnot. These are just the names that we give to them. So again, I'll go back to the other page. Just pause the video and make sure you know what each of these mean. So what corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, and same side exterior mean. Pause video there. And also what vertical angles, linear pairs, and supplementary angles are. So hopefully that helps you to introduce to what are angle pairs, what are the parallel lines, and to help you with your